This is your quick guide on the 600mm GM from Sony. The first thing you want to do is make sure you got the right kit for the right lens. Next, what I like to do is go over all the pieces to see where it starts. Normally, we like to start from the top to the bottom. As you can see here, the pieces are arranged in a sequential order so you know exactly where they go. And if you don't, we do have a guide online to show you where each piece goes. What I do want to note is when you're peeling, you want to be extra gentle as to not stretch the skin, so that way it aligns perfectly. So starting off, we will be wrapping the top section here, the one with the G Master logo. And what I want to note is that these seams will go on the bottom of the G Master logo. So depending on how you have your lens position, that's where it goes. So first, I'm just gonna line this here. So just looking at the G orientation, you can tell that the seam will start from the bottom. So that's how we're gonna place it. The first section, you can start with any section, but I like to start from the top and work my way down to the bottom. And what I like to do here is place this so the G is on the side. And I will just align that. Remember not to stretch the skin. You just want to lay it down. As you can see, I can still maneuver it as long as I'm not applying any pressure. So once you have the G perfectly flush, just go ahead and apply a little bit of pressure around it. And what we're going to do is we're going to rotate this while checking the edges, making sure we're not going over. And you're just going to rotate it without stretching the skin until it falls on the other G, like so. And what we're going to do is just lock this in as well. And we're just going to get to the end, and this is where you align the seams. Now this might look difficult, but it's quite easy. As you can see, you can always tug the skin to close any gap. But once you overstretch it, you're gonna get overlapping vinyl. Here we go, look at that. If you notice any visible gaps, just lightly tug the skin to close the seam like so. Next, I'm just gonna go over all the areas with my fingers to make sure it's properly adhered. Be very gentle. You don't want to make any creases on these, on the vinyl. And once you're confident enough, once it's fully adhered to the lens, you can go ahead and apply more pressure. And that's the top section. Next, we're gonna go onto the bottom contour area. So how I like to start with these arcs is I want to start at the midsection, the G, so when you're viewing from the top, you can't see any seams. And you want to close off any gap so there's no visible seams, so the white doesn't come through. And what I'm going to do is lightly, just ever so slightly tug it around the bottom seam here. Okay, once you have that done, we're just gonna use our fingers to contour in certain areas. You can always peel back and fix any mistakes along the way. Now you're just gonna do what you did for the top to the bottom section. For these pieces, you just wanna align them, put them right next to each other, and make sure all the gaps are closed, like so. Again, this is a white lens, so if you're using anything other than light colors, any visible seam will be very apparent. And it's near impossible to get it perfectly right, but if you do your best, it's gonna look amazing. So this section, you can actually just start from anywhere just because it's a free spinning barrel. And what I like to do is keep this really straight and just rotate the barrel. As you can see here. And just close the gap, like so. So this section here, you can see the holes are cut out, so you just align that with the designated area here. And what we're gonna do is once we get that perfectly aligned, just let it fall into place and just guide the vinyl to the other cutout where the dots are. There we go. That's one section done. And the next one, you're just gonna do the same. sure the dots are within the cutout, like so. You want to make sure that you peel very gently, peel from all angles if you have to. You want to be mindful about the dial area, so first we're going to just tuck it in, and then now we're just going to shimmy this around until it lines up perfectly with the dot on top and the Sony badge cutout. Remember, do not apply any pressure until you're confident that it's perfectly aligned and flush. Once you apply pressure, that's when the adhesive activates. So once you have that fully aligned, we're just gonna lay this down. Everything should fall right into place, like so. Look at that. I highly recommend, if you have the application toolkit, you use that liberally. So for this section here, I do recommend peeling from both sides just because of how thin these strips are. So first, peel from this side, then we'll fully peel from the other side. So it comes right off. Be careful about static, because that will have a static cling. Next, you want to line it with the 600 millimeter. Be mindful of this as well. So what I like to do is slide around until everything looks like they fit perfectly. I'll drop that. And then this will just fall into place like so. You do not need to stretch it. It should be a perfect cutout. Then we're just gonna rotate this over and seal the gap. Now look at that, 600 is fully filled up. Just follow the same steps as we did previously and you'll get this all wrapped up.